Welcome to Recovering Your Voice, a place where we share stories. My name's Bonnie, and today on the show, I'm alone. Both my co-hosts are recovering from illnesses. Here in Northern Ontario, we've been hit with a triple whammy: COVID, flu, and RSV. We debated whether we should post this week. My co-hosts debated whether they should buckle up, carry on. In the end, we chose kindness to each other. It's okay to say, I can't do it. It's okay to say, we're taking time off to recover. Recovering is a process. It's not a one-time event. Whether it's recovering from an illness or grief or a sprained foot, that's what I've been dealing with this past few weeks, or recovering your voice. It's a process. I could just end the episode now, cue the music, and tell you to tune in 2 weeks' time. However, there's been a message that's been burning in me, and I think it needs to be out there before we head into the crazy season of Christmas. My co-hosts have both given their blessing to me to share it with you without them being here. Several weeks ago, I came across an article, and it was called The 10 Thought Habits of People with High Self-Worth, written by Michael Stanwyck. Now, it so impacted me that I shared it with Colette and Carol Ann, and I even sought and received written permission to share it on the show with you today. All the links of my resources are shared below in the description. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought self-worth and self-esteem were the same things, but they aren't. I thought self-worth was just simply how I thought about myself. And that is partially true, but I've learned so much more. So today in the show, I'm going to share with you what I found out. Why do I think it's important to share this during the Christmas or holiday season? Because this season can be full of joy and celebration for some, the most special time of the year. But for others, it can be filled with grief and despair. Because although this season preaches good cheer, face it, we can become stretched financially, relationally, especially with our families, physically, sometimes just because we're too busy, emotionally, and spiritually. We need a good dose of healthy self-worth to face the next few months. Now, before I get into Michael Stanwyck's article, let me define and distinguish self-esteem and self-worth. Maybe you too thought they were the same thing. Well, simply put, self-esteem is what we think, what we feel, and what we believe about ourselves. If it's too high, we can become more on the narcissistic side. But if it's too low, we can become depressed. It can change depending on what's going on in our lives. It moves, it's variable. Self-worth, however, is a global recognition that all humans are valuable and worthy of love, regardless of circumstances or traits. If we have a healthy self-esteem, then it's most likely a byproduct of a healthy self-worth. Now, according to Mr. Stanwyck, there are 10 qualities of self-worth. I'll share his ideas, plus I'll put some of my own thoughts and some from experts that I found along. Track along with me and see how you do on these 10 thoughts. Number 1 of the 10 thought habits of people with high self-worth are, no matter what I've done or haven't done, I'm worthy of love. If I make a mistake, I say, I did a bad thing, instead of I'm a bad person. If I make a mistake, I say sorry, and I make amends if possible. In other words, I take responsibility for my mistakes. If I'm successful, I take pride in my achievements, but I demonstrate grace and humility while doing it. I'm not dependent on my successes, others' flattery, or others' adoration. My success or my failure is not a barometer for my worthiness. Now, having this type of thought habit allows us to let go of what others think, to let go of perfectionism, self-doubt, and comparison. Don't we all need that during this season? Number 2, my things do not define me. Wow, with all the advertisements calling out to us to buy during this season, this is a thought habit we need. This thought pattern says, I recognize the impermanence of everything, that things lose their value, they break down, they get lost, they get old, they get out of style, out of relevance. I enjoy external things, but without attaching my identity in them. And even if all my things were taken away, if I lost it all, I would look in the mirror and say, I am enough. Or for us here at Recovering Your Voice, we would say, Jesus is enough. Now, I looked up a little bit more on materialism, and I found out that buying more stuff is associated with depression, anxiety, and even broken relationships. It's a value system that's never ending. It can never be satisfied, and it can incite comparison. Research has found there's a correlation between materialism and a lack of empathy, between materialism and unhappiness, and even a lack of engagement with others. The author of the article that I found this information on called it a system that eats us from the inside out. Number 3, I am allowed to feel whatever I'm feeling. Now, when I first read that, I wasn't sure about this one. If you're thinking the same, stay with me. So it means I am allowed to feel what I feel. I create space for my emotions without feeling guilty about them. I realize emotions are just tools that help me pay attention, and I can let go of my emotions. Havilah Huntington, who is an author, says feelings are simply markers that let us know what's going on inside us. Emma from Therapy in a Nutshell says, emotions are warning signs to help us notice problems. They're a motivation to change. They help us connect to others. And instead of avoiding them, we should actually seek to process and to resolve them. When emotions run high this season, let's try to ask ourselves, what's really going on inside us or in others? Number 4, I delight in the joy of missing out. What? Does that sound counterintuitive to society's thinking? It is. This thought means I am not afraid to be alone. I believe people who really matter to me will always welcome me, and even if they don't, I'll still be okay on my own. I know that what other people think about me is none of my business. I set firm boundaries, which only invite others who have earned the right to come into my life. And I recognize that other people have the right to invite me or not invite me into their life. So FOMO, or the fear of missing out, That is referring to the feeling or perceptions that others are having more fun, living better lives, or experiencing better things than you are. FOMO can be accelerated by social media because social media provides a situation in which we're always comparing our regular life with the highlights of others' lives. This season, let's make healthy choices about the engagements that we accept, and let's prioritize our precious time. Perhaps we can even think about reducing our time on social media. Number 5, it's not about what happens, it's about how I respond to what happens. Now, you've probably heard the saying, attitude is everything. So let's break this down. This thought pattern says, I am responsible for my feelings, my thoughts, and my actions. And I do not get stuck in victimhood when something happens to me. I don't spend too much time feeling sorry for myself. I realize that we always have a choice on how we can react. I can control my attitude in a world that seems out of control. Here's a quote from Walter Anderson. Now, he's an American writer, and he's also a painter. He says, I am responsible. Although I may not be able to prevent the worst from happening, I am responsible for my attitude towards the inevitable misfortunes that darken life. Bad things do happen. How I respond to them defines my character and the quality of my life. I can choose to sit in perpetual sadness, immobilized by the gravity of my loss, or I can choose to rise from the pain and treasure the most precious gift I have, life itself. Wow, that's a great thought to head into this season. Number 6, I do what I love and I love what I do. This thought comes with the idea that I put my own needs first. Now, stay with me. Okay, I'm going to explain it. This thought says, I inherently know that I can only love and help others to the extent that I love and help myself. I take time and set aside energy to invest in the life I want. I find joy in doing what I love, and I honor others the right to do what they love too. Now, this reminds me of the oxygen mask speech that you get when you're on an airplane. If you're traveling with a child, you're told to put on your own oxygen mask before you put on your child's mask. Why? Because if you don't put on yours first, you could pass out before putting your child's on. I love what Dr. Allison Cook explains. She distinguishes between 3 terms. Selfishness. Selfishness says it's all about me. Selflessness says it's all about you. And now she talks about a new term that I had never heard before called selfhood. A selfhood means it's about you and me. It is your individual identity, your unique personality, your preferences, and your thoughts. So having a healthy confidence in your own strengths, weaknesses, and limitations. Almost sounds like self-worth, doesn't it? Well, this season, I encourage you, as my co-hosts are doing, to take time to look after yourselves first. Invest in yourself so you can be there for others that need you. Well, how are you doing? Are you still tracking along with me? We have 3 more thought patterns to go. Number 7, I see myself in others. Well, what does that mean? It means I have the belief that if people are judging me, it's because I'm reflecting a part of me that they have yet to accept. Their judgment may hurt, but ultimately it's about them, not me. It doesn't have to be my truth. I'm thankful for the challenging people in my lives because I see them as an opportunity to learn more about myself. I must admit, I'm not here yet. I have been trying really hard, don't get me wrong, to not judge others. But I really hadn't thought about how it affects me when others judge me. I discovered from the human behavior specialist, Dr. John DeMartini, that feelings of judgment can be self-righteous, which means we put someone down by judging them negatively so that we can feel superior. And there is also he calls it self-wrongness. It says self-righteousness, self-wrongness. And that is when we put someone up on a pedestal by judging them positively, but to make us feel smaller or less than or even unworthy. Both of these are wrong. Judging is our attempt to create a hierarchy of better than, less than, superior or inferior, or to define another's worth. It requires little thought. It becomes an automatic response instead of taking the time, the patience, the compassion, the deep thinking to understand. Well, may this season we seek to understand others and ourselves better and to judge less. We're almost there. Number 8, I believe in something greater than myself. This means that I do not believe that the world revolves around me. I am humbled by my small but important role in the grand scheme of things. And although not necessary, the article said that it helps to believe in God or to subscribe to an organized religion of some sort, because it helps us keep things in perspective. For us here at Recovering Your Voice, we place our value, our worth, our identity in Jesus. We believe we're worthy of love because God first loved us. In the Bible, in John 3:16, it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." The Bible says in Romans 5:8 that while we were yet sinners, that's just a person who's broken God's laws, Jesus came and died for us. He didn't wait until we were cleaned up, fixed up, pressed, and polished. He meets us right where we are, as we are. Now, if you want to know more about this, please contact us. This is the season of remembering when God sent his Son as a baby in human form, both God, both man, to experience all of life. He did that experience of living life as we do, so he could sympathize with everything we experience as human beings. We encourage you not to get caught up in the commercialism of this period of time, this busyness. Take some time to ponder the reason for the season. Number 9, every day I find things to be grateful for. I practice regularly gratitude in my life. I detach my sense of worthiness from my achievements. I detach my sense of worthiness from my circumstances. Wow, that's a hard one. A favorite author of mine, Anne Voskamp, who wrote a whole book about giving thanks, says this: joy is always a function of gratitude, and gratitude is always a function of attitude. Well, this takes us right back to number 5. That said, it's about how we respond. We can choose to be grateful in all circumstances. There's always something we can say we're thankful for. So during this season, let's take some time to pause and to think about our many blessings in life. Number 10, yes, you made it. Thanks for staying with me to the end. Number 10 of the thought patterns for high self-worth is: the story I tell about my life means everything. The way I think influences the way I live. If I think worthy thoughts, I can take worthy actions. I ask questions and I enjoy the process of learning. There you have it. The 10 thought habits of people with high self-worth. I hope it has impacted you as much as it did me. I hope also that you might take some time to think deeply about these and try to work on any that have challenged you. Lord willing, my co-hosts will be back for our December episodes. We have some fun Christmas shorts, versions similar to what we did in the summer for summer shorts. And we hope that you will join in. Now, if you have a story that you would like to share on recovering your voice, or if you have a dream you would like us to interpret, or if you're interested in finding more about becoming a Jesus follower, you can email us at recoveringyourvoice@gmail.com. And until next time, please keep sharing your story.